Hey Elliot.
Hey, so yeah, welcome to London. We're at Anthem event to play the full game with Polski. And this is filmed with the GoPro. That's probably why it looks like crap, because it doesn't like this kind of low light environments. I just wanted to do an intro instead of my normal gameplay intro. I thought we'd do a little film thing here, making an awkward intro, you know. But now let's roll the gameplay. Woo!
Hey guys, and welcome back to Battlefront Updates and another Anthem video, because a couple of days ago I got the opportunity to fly out to London to try out the full Anthem game together with a bunch of other creators from across the world. I had a blast at the event together with Polski, who also flew in with me from Sweden, and we got the chance to try out the different sections of the game, I guess we could say. And I also wanted to mention that I really appreciate all the fantastic feedback on the first Anthem video. I wasn't sure how you guys were gonna receive the video, since it's not that similar to Battlefront, but still something that I know a lot of you were interested in. And I think that video is one of the best performing videos on my channel that is not a Battlefront video, even better than some Battlefield and Call of Duty stuff I've done. So I really appreciate that, and I'm glad that you guys are looking forward to the game as much as I am. So in that video I mostly focused about the core gameplay, because that's realistically what I was able to judge at that first event. But at this event we got to play in three different sections, I guess we could say. First of all, we played from scratch, from my fresh account at level 1, and played through the tutorials and then the missions and so on. I can't share the tutorials because they want them to be kind of like something you experienced yourself for the first time, which I think makes a lot of sense. And secondly, we got to try out the VIP demo, or the demo that's actually starting tomorrow by the time you're watching this video. Which starts off at level 10, and then lastly we actually got to try out some end game content with level 30 Javelins with some epic and masterwork gear. I cannot share that end game footage just yet, but I will talk about it briefly here in a second. But I'll be showing you some of that fresh level 1 footage as well as some of the demo footage. So in regards to the demos, if you didn't know already, they will be doing a short 2 or 3 day demo now tomorrow, where everyone who has pre-ordered the game, or if you have Origin Access Premier, can try it out for 3 days. So if you have pre-ordered that, or if you have Origin Access Premier, I probably don't need to tell you that obviously you should try out that VIP demo. However, I think the important part is February 1st to 3rd, because they have an open demo where everyone can try it out for free. And I really don't think there is any better way to give a game a chance. You don't have to pay anything, you don't have to lock up to anything, and you can make your own judgment instead of watching someone else's videos, which you obviously are doing right now. And it can give you a good idea, but I still think that the best way you can ever judge a game is by playing it yourself. And that's what some of the producers and developers have said. That's why they do have this open demo, to give everyone a chance to try it out. So if you find anything in this video or my previous video interesting, February 1st to 3rd is when you should try out the open demo and see if this game is something for you. Because I don't like encouraging pre-orders. I prefer that you actually try the game and then buy it. Or of course, if you have Origin Access Premier, you'll already be able to try it out. So what about the game then? And what do I want to talk about today? I don't want to talk as much about the gameplay as I did last time, because the gameplay is just as good as when I talked about it last time. The flying mechanics are very fluid, the gameplay feels fun, there's a lot of different combinations you can do depending on which abilities or gear you equip. So that was still the highlight, that the gameplay felt really good. I was able to customize my Javelins to basically make them play completely differently depending on what gear I equipped. As you basically swap out your abilities, I would say. But what I was able to judge more during this event was kind of like the longevity of the game, as I was able to try some of the harder stuff in the game, see how the progression properly works when tuned, and obviously some of that end game content as well. And I was pleasantly surprised, I have to say, because something I felt last time and even this time was that it was a little bit too easy at first. Playing from level 1 to 8, I think was the level I got to. It was really easy, and we even tried it on the hard difficulty, which almost felt a little bit too easy, because there's easy, normal, and hard as the default difficulties, and the higher you choose, the better loot you get by the harder enemies. And hard was pretty easy for us, and I don't think we were the best players. I mean, probably better than average and someone who has never touched similar games, so that's understandable, but hard for normal missions did feel very easy. However, as soon as we got to a stronghold, which is a bit more of a harder challenge that's tuned for 4 players and you're not supposed to do them alone, then it suddenly became very tricky, which was a lot of fun. The most fun, I would say, that I had during the event. The gameplay you're seeing right now is from the demo, where you can try a stronghold at level 10. So even if this was in the demo, if I would just have gotten another maybe hour or 2 in the kind of fresh build we played on, I would still have hit level 10, because I hit level 8 during that play session. Nevertheless, in this stronghold play here, you will see that we're facing off against a lot harder enemies. They do a lot of damage, they have a lot of health, and we actually had to coordinate our plays, and at some points I think 3 of us were actually downed. We didn't wipe during this playthrough, but we were very close a couple of times when 3 of us were down, and at some point here you will see me popping the ultimate with my interceptor in order to just be able to survive and then revive my teammate. So it was a good challenge. However, hard is not the hardest difficulty. After hard, there's Grandmaster, there's Grandmaster 2 and Grandmaster 3, so there will be some really tough endgame content to try out. If you got the opportunity to try the first Grandmaster setting at our level 30 endgame accounts, which again I can't show it right here, but I can tell you that that was tricky. We were used to the normal difficulty or the harder difficulty, and we just went in and wiped right away. So there will be a lot of tougher challenges. It's just that the first couple of hours or so, even if you play on the hardest difficulty, it might not be super hard. But just know that there will be a lot tougher things for you to challenge yourself with later in the game. And I think it's probably good that you have kind of a soft start, if you know what I mean. So I was glad that we got the opportunity to test that out and feel like, yeah, there is actually stuff to do in the end game, and there's a lot of tricky stuff you can do. You'll also be seeing a mix of Storm and Interceptor gameplay. I know I said I was gonna play the Storm, but then I felt like I wanna try the Interceptor, and I had a blast with it, especially in the end game content when I kind of re-rolled it into a full melee build, which was a lot of fun. So I think I might actually end up playing the Interceptor, or I mean, to be honest, I'll probably play like a bunch of different classes or javelins in the end, but I think the Interceptor is going to be my first javelin that I level up, customize, unlock new stuff for, and similarly. As for the loot system and the whole progression, I think that's something quite important to note, and basically you have like a power level which summarizes the power level of all your different weapons and gear you have equipped. And the levels or the rarities of the loot is similar to most games. We've got the white, which is common, and then we have the green, which is uncommon, blue, rare, and purple epic. And then they've got a bit of a different step here, as the kind of orange is called masterwork, and then legendary is, I guess, like light green-ish. So they've kind of changed legendary from how it is in most games. And I can tell you that legendaries are very, very, very rare. The only person who got that during the entire event, as far as I know, was actually Polski, and the producer actually tweeted this picture out, so technically I can't really show footage from that session since it was from the endgame session, but since he tweeted this out, I figured I'll at least show it. And the excitement around getting that legendary, both from the developers actually, who had apparently never seen one drop in the live environment, and from us, was a lot of fun, and it showed that there are some really cool stuff to look forward to in the end game. Even getting in masterwork was really fun, as that's still very rare compared to like epics. So there's a lot of different steps here that you can improve your gear from. I mean, obviously the end goal would probably be to get full legendaries, but I don't know if anyone's ever gonna be able to get that, and if that's even possible. I'm not sure if it's limited to certain slots or similarly, but there are a lot of things to unlock in the end game, and basically the higher you bump up your difficulty, the better loot you will get. So when you just hit level 30, you might have to do it at the hard difficulty for the strongholds, but once you get some more gear, you can bump it up to Grandmaster, and then continue on like that. You can then also dismantle weapons and gear you don't want to get more parts to craft new stuff, basically. That's something I was a little bit worried about here when playing, that you did get a lot of loot, especially in the end game. You could get like 30 things from one stronghold similarly, and it almost became a bit overwhelming trying to scroll through the entire list of items and see, oh wait, is this a duplicate or not? And that's something I really think they could improve, where they would show, okay, so here's all the weapons you have of this particular name, because you can get the same weapon in like all the different rarities, power levels, and with the different inscriptions, which is like an extra stat that is randomly generated. And I would love to just see, okay, here's 10 different versions of the same weapon, and then I can dismantle 9 of those and keep just the best one. So that wasn't something you could do as far as I understood, so I can imagine if you play this for a couple of hours and then go into your kind of inventory, you're gonna have so much loot that it's gonna be overwhelming and you're not really gonna be sure what to do. And I guess at some point you probably have a full inventory, because I think there's a limit to how much items you can have, and then you're gonna have to spend a long time just cleaning that out, which could probably become annoying in the end. It's kind of just a quality of life thing, but I still think it's something that would probably be a big deal once you play this game a lot, and hopefully something that can be improved. As for like different combinations and kind of playing together with your teammates for different strengths and weaknesses, I have to say that that was honestly something I didn't notice too much. I know that's something they're pushing for a lot, like I know the Interceptor might have some corrosive acid that can reduce the armor of heavy armored enemies to help your teammates, and then you can freeze with the storm to, well, put people in place. And those kind of things I think will probably be very important in the end game, where you need to make sure that you have 4 different javelins with different setups comboing together. But in the heat of the moment, honestly, that wasn't something I really noticed. There's a lot of things going on, there's a lot of abilities, a lot of weapons shooting everywhere. So it wasn't something that I felt like was too important in the core gameplay. It was more for me myself. Like, I knew that if I froze them first with my storm and then went into melee them or hit them with another ability, I would get the combo pop up, which means that I did extra damage. Things like that. But actually trying to combo together with your teammates probably requires quite a lot of coordination, and it's not something you're gonna notice a lot in the early stages of the game. At least that's how I felt about it, and I think that's fine because you don't really need it. The one thing that we did notice as soon as we started getting into the harder content was that the shield is very important to get down first, and then you can damage the enemy, and then you can shoot it in the head and so on. So as soon as we started focusing on different people, it was very hard, because just as I get down the shield, I might have to regenerate some health and wait for my abilities, and then bam, the shield is up again. But when we focused one person or one enemy, it was a lot more effective. So it was more about that, not saying, oh, can you please use this ability now and I will combine it with this ability. I think that's a bit too hardcore and maybe something for the end game and the harder difficulties. But other than that, it was more about trying to revive each other, trying to focus on the same enemy, and things like that felt like the most important parts in terms of the actual team play. And also coordinating things like ultimates, I would say, is pretty important, because the ultimates are almost too powerful, or not too powerful, but they are way stronger than any of the other abilities from what I could tell, which meant that as soon as there was like a boss popping up, we were all like just popping our ultimates and he was dead in 2 seconds. So we never really had to struggle with the yellow enemy, so to say, with the yellow health bars, which is, I guess, like mini bosses, or, well, kind of full bosses if you talk about the missions, as they don't have a big boss like the Strongholds have. And in those cases, it was kind of like, okay, pop the ultimate and he's dead. It was almost a bit underwhelming, because those a little bit longer fights against those yellow barred enemies was quite fun, but most of the time just one of us popped the ultimate and he was dead. So that's also some feedback I had, that maybe the ultimate should be more frequent but less powerful or something. I'm not really sure, but it almost felt like they were too powerful. Again, this is mostly judged here by the early content in the game, so that might be different in the end game, where that might not be a problem. But there's of course also a lot of other mechanics in the game that can be important to talk about, like how do you craft stuff, how do you get schematics, and this game has a lot of depth. And I could probably make a 1-hour-long video talking about it, and even after I've been talking to the developers and I've played quite a lot now, I still don't know everything. So I'm probably not the best channel to go for that kind of details, and I'm sure there are Battlefront updates of the Anthem community, Anthem updates, I don't know, that will have this very thoroughly covered. And as of right now, what I really just want to do is jump in and start progressing my own character. I'm extremely excited to stream this game, and I really hope that you guys will enjoy it, because if there's very few tuning in and you guys are complaining that it's not Battlefront and yada yada, I probably won't be streaming it a lot, but I will be playing it a lot nevertheless. So the question is just, will I be playing it off stream or will I be streaming when I'm playing? Because I do know a lot of friends who will be playing it, such as Polski and Jimmy and so on, so I can probably get a good squad going for the streams as well. Again, it won't be taken away from my Battlefront playing, because especially considering that Anakin and the large-scale game mode arrives in probably the end of February. At that point I will be taking a break from Anthem, that's for sure. But this still does feel like a game that I'm gonna play a lot, because I just want to progress my own character. And that's also something I wanted to point out regarding the demos. I don't actually know if I will be playing the demos, and the reason for that is that I've played through all of this now in December. I've played through all of this now earlier this week, and if I do it twice in the different demos as well, I'm scared that I'm gonna wear out the game for myself, playing the same missions and the same things 4 times over, progressing from scratch 4 times over. So I think I'm probably just gonna save until the early access starts in the middle of February, I think. And that's when I'm gonna start playing from scratch and streaming. I'll probably play a little bit during the demo, but I don't know if I'm gonna stream it. But I think I'm instead gonna focus on just playing properly from scratch when the full game is released, since I've basically had like 2 demos already with these 2 events. However, I do really want to play, so I'll see what I do. I'll give you guys an update out on social media or similarly. But since the demos are during a fairly limited amount of time and Dooku is out now as well, we'll see how that goes. But I think that's really all I wanted to tell you about my impressions from playing this over in London, and that my overall impression is very happily surprised both about the end game, the progression, and how I think the longevity can be. And the more negative sides to it that I did notice was that there were some quality of life things missing, like again the being able to dismantle easier, you couldn't inspect enemies, there wasn't an easy way to read what your gear did when you're not in the forge, but like if you pause the game or go to the menu out when you're playing, you couldn't read about what all the inscriptions on your different weapons did, which I also thought was quite annoying. And unfortunately I also experienced the sound bug that is in Battlefront 2, where the audio died and I had to restart the game. I was not very glad when that happened, because that's been in the multiple Frostbite games now. Obviously not a game-breaking thing, but annoying to notice that nevertheless. But yeah, I think that should give you a good idea of my impressions of the game so far. Look forward to some streams of this game once it's out. And again, if you have any questions that I might have forgotten to cover here, please let me know in the comments below, and I'll try to answer as many of them as possible. Thank you very much for watching, and as always, may the Force be with you.